Hello, this is Makeover, and here's my workshop, which is a real mess, as you can tell. So, I'm going to be cleaning this up, and also going to find some things to tear down, because I have way too much stuff in here, and some of this stuff I'm just probably never going to use, so yeah, I'm going to sort through my stuff, throw some stuff out, and take some things apart, like, for example, this laptop here, which doesn't have a hard drive, and it's probably a really cheap one, Acer. Probably not really even worth getting it working, so I'm just gonna take that apart, as well as a few other things in here. But there's just not enough space in here, so there's a bunch of stuff in this pile here that I'm gonna take apart, and so yeah, so I'll get started cleaning up here. So yep. Alright guys, I'm feeling an amazing sense of accomplishment right now, because I finally finished cleaning it up. It took me quite a few hours to get this nice and clean, but it looks amazing in here. I can actually walk around in here without stepping on anything or stubbing my toes, so that's real nice. And I've got all my trash here, gotta get rid of that. And then here's all the stuff I'm getting rid of, so I'm gonna be taking that stuff apart up top, seeing it. So yep, that'll be next part of this video. And I've sorted some of this stuff. I sorted my circuit boards, big circuit boards, smaller circuit boards, my junk bin there, which has always been there, but I added some more stuff to it and took some stuff out. The shelves haven't really changed at all. I've sorted a few things, but that's pretty much the same. Workbench is all cleaned off. Changed this stuff around on that shelf a little bit there. But this corner right here is a big thing that I changed a lot. I slid that shelf over and put all my chemistry stuff on there. So I've got all my glass jars, my chemicals. I put all my test tubes in a little cardboard box holder that I made. I just punched some holes in it. My Variacs are down there. And then I've got all my random equipment here in the corner. There's a big box of power supplies, my foam cutting supplies. That box right here has all my junk circuit boards in it that I've taken everything off of. So yeah, I've sorted this corner up a good bit. So that's the main thing, because that before it wasn't organized. So it was just kind of big mound of junk there. So got rid of a bunch of stuff there. That's part of that right there. That used to be the pile. But see, a big pile of trash there. Pretty much the same in that corner, just a little bit different configuration. So yeah, we'll be getting to that pile of junk there next. So alright, so we'll be starting with this receipt machine. I just don't have a use for it. I believe that it works, but so taking that apart. So basically, if you take the cover off, you've got the printer here. This isn't going to be very interesting, but roll of paper there, and here's the ink, I guess you could say. So take it apart a little bit. Alright, so here's some interesting bits, sort of. So power supply, board. I'm guessing it's a big voltage regulator, because it says voltage regulator right there. But it's got a lot of pins on it. I don't know what exactly that is, but it's got 4 wires coming out of it. Just probably, I don't know what voltage. It'd probably be like 24 volts or something like that. But there's the control board, and here's the printing assembly. So there's the printing head there. It's just got bunch of metal rods in it probably, and a bunch of electromagnetic coils. I'll take that apart in a minute. Here's the ink. We'll get into it a little bit more there. Alright, so this is how it works. So we've got these little arms here and the pins. So when the electromagnet popped off, so those have a little so right there you can see the part that sticks down into the electromagnet, which is right there. So there's the little electromagnets. So they're pulled down and they push those little pins down, and those little pins go through there and out there, and they whack the ink onto the paper. So really simple. And then here we've got a little mechanism that the motor only has to go one way in order for this to go back and forth. So yeah, pretty simple. And we've got another electromagnet there that clicks to make the paper come through. Basically, that's all it is. So pretty simple. Probably pretty cheap to make too. Alright, so now we've got this Barcode Blazer. So it's really simple. It's basically got these sticky pieces of paper here which are heat activated. So if we put them over this flame here, they turn black. So basically that's all it prints on. And got a nice beefy power supply. This thing was made in USA, and it doesn't seem like there was a lot of them sold because they weren't. It's made out of pretty beefy materials, and 1995 was when it was made. But like these little things right here, these springy things, these are for like cabinet doors and things, and those are pretty standard little parts that you buy at the hardware store. So, but basically all it is it's got a right here we've got a bunch of little heating elements inside of this block here, and those turn on in different spots, and it spins the motor and moves the paper past it, and it makes black lines on it. That's basically all it does. So that's basically all it does. Pretty simple, and it's probably got a little LED or something to sense when the paper is, yeah, there's a little hole right there to sense those black lines. So this thing's not going to be too complicated inside. It seems a little big, but, so yeah. Alright, so here's the heating element strip. So tiny little wires in there, much smaller than I actually expected. And then here's the inside here. You can see underneath that glue there's some little chips. And there's a little thermocouple there too. That goes in that little hole. And it's on a block of aluminum there, so it can dissipate the heat. So it can cool down faster and print faster. And then here's the insides of the base here. So we've got some pretty useful little transistors here, I think. There's some, there's a tip 42, so that should be, I think those are usually good ones. This one looks pretty nice too. But actually this relay is the part that drives the motor, because when you click the button to wind through, it's also got a pretty big motor there. So it's a 12-volt motor, but it's got a little eye there to tell it rotations and all that. And then the little eye is on, oh, it's on right there. You can see it a little bit, but the motor shuts off if we put, so, yep. But pretty simple, basic operation there. Fan, power supply is pretty big. I think it's like I think it's probably 18 volts, so 4 amps, so it's pretty good. So that's about all of this little printer here, so I guess we'll get on to the next. Alright, so next on the list is this digital multimeter. It used to work, but then I accidentally hooked it up to a high voltage, and this is all it does now. Just decimal point is all it displays. So something's wrong with it. So we'll be seeing what's wrong with it, or just trashing it. Alright, so here's the inside. It's actually pretty well built. It's very similar actually to this one right here, except this one has an LCD and it runs on battery. So I don't really need this one. I think it's probably not fixable. Probably one of the chips or something is fried, because there's nothing obvious that's blown. So I'm just gonna trash it, because I already have this one and this one that work, and I've got some other little ones too. So not too interesting in here, just basic. There's the display, which unplugs, and then we've got our transformer, some inductors for something, and big crystal there, and those look like voltage regulators probably. Yeah, 5-volt regulator. And there's a tunable capacitor there. Yeah, not too much in here, so yeah, no obvious fuses that are blown, or there's the main fuse, but there's no other little fuse that that connects up to the input there. So, and this one also doesn't measure current, which I use current a lot, so yeah, it'll be trash. Floppy drive, not much useful inside of these. Most of you have probably seen what it looks like inside these. There's the part that reads it, and there's the motor that moves the heads back and forth. And then on the bottom here we have the main drive motor, which these can be useful for small generators for Stirling engines, but they work okay for that, but they have to be spinning at pretty high RPM, so not real useful. But that's about all that's inside these. Pretty much just mechanical stuff. So, alright, so here's a kind of interesting Nikon Polaroid camera. So the Polaroid film would have been on the bottom here, and I actually took that part off a while ago and took it apart. There's a lens inside there, and that actually, this part here screws onto here, so, and then the light would either come in here or up here. Haven't exactly figured that out yet, but I think that it comes in here, so you'd have a lens on here too, and this is where you actually line it up with your eye, because there's a box in there to line it up. But I think it has a light sensor in here, but there's the shutter in here, and then this is just the control. So let me see, reset it, and then if you press this, oh, it's not gonna work right now. Was working. I don't know, it's not working now. There we go. So it flips a prism in there that bounces the light in here, flips that first, that's what the motor is, and then you can hear the second sound, that's the shutter. So let me change the speed here. So there's a bunch of LEDs on here that tell you what it's set at. Sometimes it's picky. There we go. Not sure if it's gonna work when it's on the side here. There we go. Oh dear, it's set for 21 seconds. It's gonna take a while then. There we go. So yeah, kind of neat. So we've got some sort of changes the little LED there. I don't know, kind of neat little thing here. So take it apart and see what it looks like inside. Alright, so here we have the inside. So here's the main transformer there, and the plugs and wire looms and all that stuff. And then here's the main circuit board right here, and there's some other circuit boards that plug into it. Here's just it's got a programmable, probably ROM chip there, which plugs in right here, or like that actually. And then we've got this one, which is probably the regulator. Yeah, this is a power supply regulator. We've got some odd bridge rectifier diodes here. And then we've got some regulators. This one is 24 volt. With these ones, it's pretty easy to tell because it says 7824. The 24 means the voltage, so this is a 24 volt one. This one is 7805, so this one is 5 volt. And then this one is 7912, that's probably a 12 volt one. And here's a 7812, and that's probably also a 12 volt. I'm not sure. One of those must be different. Something like that. So yeah, and then we have the main control board here. So we've got our buttons and all of our LEDs, some resistor packs there, and another little control board there. Here's the main display, and this actually seems to be a high voltage board here. So we've got our output, which goes through there, and then to this BNC connector on the back here, and that goes through a BNC cable to this part, and the BNC cable is right here. As you can see, it's got a bunch of rings there, so it's kind of high voltage one, and it actually seems to go right to this board right here, so I'm not really sure what that does, but we'll have to see when we open that up. Here we have the shutter assembly. For some reason it's like kind of springed. It's got some spring action there, but there's the little prism that the motor switches back and forth. So it actually looks like light goes in here, so there must be a light sensor in there that uses high voltage or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but so we'll have to see. But actually this high voltage board has two tip 31s, so that's pretty good because I burned all my other ones out on my Tesla coil, so I can make some more Tesla coils with tip 31s, so pretty excited about that. And that's about it. So I'll open this up and we'll see what else is in there. Alright, so this is actually what was inside of there and hooked to the high voltage. This is a photo multiplier tube. It says right here. Don't know if that'll be very visible, but R1413. I guess that's the part number probably. And that might be a date. I'm not sure what that is. But it's got a bunch of capacitors there, I believe. and it's pretty simple how I hooked it up. It looks like the high voltage goes right here through that cable, and then we've got the output here. So I should be able to hook this up to the board that it originally ran off of, and should be able to get something out of here. So I'll have to do that and see what happens. But there's the main board. It's got a little relay on there, and then we've got the lens assembly. So it looks like the light would, right now the light would be coming through here. So the light comes in here. That'd be the main lens there. That'd be screwed on there. Goes through this prism. Some of it gets split off into the eyepiece, and then the other part goes into here. And then when you press the trigger button, the motor slides this out of the way, and the light comes straight through the shutter and into the onto the film. So pretty simple there. It's got a little sensor right there and another switch here for the actual, I guess it probably changes how much light goes through to the, that probably changes, yeah, something like that, changes how much light gets to the photo multiplier tube. So, kind of cool. So that's pretty much it for this, what was this, Nikon camera. So yeah. Alright, so here's the tube hooked up. So the photo tube there, and this wire here goes to the high voltage, and then the other wire goes to the voltmeter. And so I've set it on about 16 volts DC, goes into here. The brown wire actually turns it on, so when I short that to ground it turns it on, which through that little relay. But this is probably the transformer right here, and then we've got two tip 31 transistors there, which switch it on and off and power this. And right now it's just reading voltage there and the output, and when I put my hand over it, put a shadow over it, the voltage decreases. So pretty simple. Now I'm not really sure why they would have used a photo multiplier tube like that and not like a photo transistor or a CD cell, but whatever, it works. So, and then I'll also show you the shutter working. So I took it apart a little bit, and whoop, it's jamming up. Oh, never mind, it's not jamming up. I need to hold it. Hold this still here. Switch the wires here. Oh, it's turning the base here, that's what the problem is. I have to hold it. And then it should work. There we go. So that's how that works. And it's just got a bunch of these on there. And then underneath of this part here, we've got a bunch of little coils that it's basically a magnet inside. So it's basically like a compass with inside of a magnetic coil. And then this connects them all together so that they're all pushing and pulling on the little slide things. So, and then there's a little switch here to tell it when it's at one position and the other position. So they move pretty fast. So those might be useful for something, these little magnetic coil things there. So yeah, that's all taken apart. So the next thing now, I forgot to mention this little board feeds about 600, 700 volts to the tube. But that's what the spark looks like. Pretty nice little arc there, or spark. So yeah, pretty nice little board there. I'll probably keep it as one unit. As for the tube, I don't know what I'll do with that. Alright, so the next thing is this little pump. So it uses a syringe here, glass syringe, and it used to go up and down. I'm not sure why it is now. The green light's on, but it's not doing anything. Maybe I jumped it inside, but yeah, maybe it needs a control, and how I got it to work before was I put a jumper inside. I don't know. But we'll open it up and see what it looks like inside. Alright, so it's pretty simple inside. So we've got the syringe, and this is actually a valve up here. It's not a check valve. And this motor here runs the check valve, and then this motor here runs the screw up and down. So I finally figured out how to turn it on, and that's this, which is not very obvious. Push that down and it starts. But I have it on half cycle right now, so it just goes down half cycle, and it's got a little sensor right here, and when that goes down all the way, there must be a spring inside here. It flexes on that and activates it or stops the motor. And now it's closing the valve. Well, and that's the end of the cycle. So it goes down and stops. Put it on continuous here. So I think these are 24 volt motors, and here's the transformer, and then circuit board there, and this is a little stop here. I'm not exactly sure what that would do though. Right now it's on 100, and then if I have to wait for it to go up, let me slide it over to 10. So now it's only going to go up and down a little tiny bit. So yeah, it's pretty simple in here. Not much to it. Yeah, but this isn't very obvious of a way to turn it on. At least for me, I don't know. But yep, pretty simple. So take it apart, and because I don't really have a use for it. So alright guys, I couldn't bring myself to destroy this, so I just took the covers off to show you what it looks like inside. But so it's basically just a bunch of capacitors and resistors. I believe that these are the resistor network there. It's just a inside of a one unit there, and switches to switch between the different values, and then there's a few transistors in here to amplify it back up, because as it goes through the capacitor and resistor combinations, it loses a lot of signal and it needs amplified again. So have it hooked up to my signal generator up there, or my and this tees off here to go to the one to the smooth line, I believe. Yeah, right. No, the signal from my generator goes to the dotted line, and the smooth line there is the one coming out. So I'll give you a good shot of that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up the frequency here. I have it on high pass. The low pass doesn't actually seem to work, that I've been able to get it to work. So it has a bit of delay there. And then if I wait, that's increasing. I need to decrease. Yeah. As you can see, the one almost fades out there. So it's losing amplitude a lot there. And so it's just letting the high frequency waves through and not the low frequency. So as you can see, it's pretty much diminished most of the way there. So it does work. So if any of you guys want this, I would be willing to try to get it to you for $10 or $20. I don't know if it's even really worth it, but so tell me what you guys think. Now we'll get on to taking apart the laptop. By the way, some of you guys were wondering where I got the connector for my PCB drill, my homemade one, and that is from a thing like this that I took apart. This connector right there that goes to the power button. So yeah, so it's kind of rare to get those, but I've taken apart a few things like this, so that's where I get them. And they can also be on the shafts like this too. So alright guys, here's my workshop. It's all cleaned up, so got rid of all that trash and finished all the autopsies, as you can see. I did take apart that laptop, but I did not include it in this video, and that's because it was going to be too long, and it wasn't very good quality. So if you guys want to see the laptop teardown, just post in the comments if you want to see that, and I can upload it separately. Hopefully this video didn't bore you too much, but so after this we should be able to get back to normal videos. So someday I'm going to get to this Sterling engine here, hopefully soon, because I want a new Sterling engine here. I just haven't had time to get to building that. And also more Tesla coil videos coming. Actually, the next video probably I'm going to do is I have a little challenge for myself. I'm going to try to build a Tesla coil out of only parts from a TV. So hopefully there's good transistors in a TV that I'll be able to use for a Tesla coil. But that'll be coming up next. And so yeah, my workshop's really clean now. I can actually get some stuff done, and you can actually see all the stains on the floor now, but because I vacuumed it. But so yeah, I've got all my stuff sorted in here, and it's amazing. So great sense of accomplishment. So yeah, so back to normal videos, and thanks for watching.